Coping with Tre Tailor, giving you info and advice to help you thrive and survive in life, because we'll always be coping with something. Coping.
Thank you again so much for joining us for Coping. I'm Tre Tailor, and don't forget, we are streaming live on the Tailor Made Production page on Facebook. Please go over there, hit like and share and follow, and find out how you can receive notifications as to when we go live, which is Wednesday for Wellness Wednesday from In It Together SC and the Diabetes Action Council, and then on Thursday and Friday. We also have a presence on YouTube. We're streaming live on our YouTube channel. We'd love for you to go over there and hit the subscribe button. There you will find 3 years, count them, 1, 2, 3 years worth of interviews, information, and content to help you cope. Because as we say here, we'll always be coping with something. We also have a presence on Instagram and also on Twitter. Today, we are coping with ability, being able to overcome life's obstacles and make lemonade out of lemons, like we always say. Monuque Duell joins us. She launched the Ability LLC to support her special needs child. The 6-time author, podcaster, international speaker, and associate pastor has won multiple awards. She's been featured in magazines for her poetry and has been recognized as a woman who's changing the face of ministry, Grace Girl Award recipient, and 2022 Sisters Lady of Liberty Award recipient. And she joins us today. Monuque, thank you so much for joining us today on Coping. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. Hello. I'm excited to be here.
We're excited for you to be here because you are a warrior in our community, because you have overcome so much in your own life, and then God gifted you with a beautiful child who you are now advocating for and working for. And I want to talk about your journey with a disabled child. But first, I want to know, how do you think your life has prepared you for this moment?
I am a big sister, the oldest of 3, and I have a brother who is autistic.
Oh.
So I was exposed to special needs, parenting and caregiving early in childhood, watching my mom cope with my brother. And back then they used the word retarded because they did not know, too much about what autism was. And he would rock and shake his hands, which we know is stimming. And so I was exposed early to the whole world of what it was like to, have a child with a disability, and watching my mom, get stared at, and watch my brother get teased, and, all of that kind of stuff in our neighborhood, because they didn't understand what it was or what he was doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And, and I ask because I do believe whatever situation, circumstances, what we may think is hardship at the time, I believe that prepares us. God in his infinite wisdom knows, what's down the road. And, one of my favorite scriptures is he goes before us and makes the crooked places straight.
Yeah.
And that he does that by preparing us for those crooked places. You know what I mean? So I love that you were able to reflect on what happened in your life earlier with your siblings to bring you to this. How did you learn that your child had cerebral palsy?
I was, first of all, I had him at 27 weeks.
Oh, wow.
I started bleeding at the 3rd month, and I had him at 27 weeks. So I bled the entire pregnancy all day, all night. And 6 weeks after, he was 2 pounds and 10 ounces. He was this little teeny. I could hold him in my hand, or I could hide him in my shirt, and you wouldn't even see him. And so he spent quite a bit of time at the NICU. And it wasn't until he was released, and about maybe 2 or 3 months later, once he was not hitting milestones and doing things that a typical or a normal, 3-month-old would do. And that's when the doctor said, he has CP.
Yeah. Did they give you any resources, information, advice, instruction, guidance?
Not really. He came in and told us that he had CP, and basically walked out the room and came back and gave us a pamphlet, and then gave us all these papers saying these are the specialists that you need to see to get you started, to get him started on, treatments or therapies and things like that, because it was going to be a lifelong thing, and that I was in for a lot of challenges. But with the proper help, as the cliche saying they tell you, with the proper help and supports and interventions, he should have a, full and happy life.
Yeah.
So
So it sounds like, they gave you the medical information that you needed, but the
Hmm.
day to day is
Yeah.
what I think I hear you say is lacking, and I think is lacking, that you can't or don't, tell people or give them the support to deal with the day and day, how it affects you, how it affects your family, how it even affects your child. So tell me, once you brought him home with the CP diagnosis, how did your family change, and how were you able to adapt?
Well, I mean, back then AOL had just came out. I had just gotten a new computer. I was on the computer looking up, what spastic diplegia meant, what part of the brain it affected him. That's the part of the brain that controls motor functioning. I looked up all of those things. What should my son be doing at this age? What he should, what signs to look out for if something else is wrong. My family, like I said, because we had already had, a special needs loved one in our family. There were no surprises. We knew that something possibly would have been, wrong with him, if you will, because he was born so early and he was bleeding on the brain at birth. Your brain is like tissue. So if, you have one speck of blood on it, it's like wet tissue.
Mm,
So we knew, like I said, we were already prepared for something. We just didn't know what that something was. And me having a older son, and him being able to do everything versus Jeremiah, who isn't able to do anything without, help. It was like night and day, trying to pour into a child that I could go outside and run with and play with and swim with versus having a child that I couldn't do any of that with.
mhm.
It was always this teeter totter. It was always, and so our family embraced him from day one. He has his favorite aunties and cousins and all that who has been there since day one, who's been our support system, and it's been great. The majority of my family, however, the other ones, the outer ones, they don't really know who he is. They never even took the time to get to know him and things like that. They have literally shied away from him simply because he's disabled.
Do you think it's fair though, Monique? I wonder why sometimes things like that happen.
I think part of it is fear and being uncomfortable because I have encountered people who don't know how to have a conversation with me because my son can't walk, so they are kind of afraid to say, "Oh, my son plays soccer." That's fine.
Right.
My son plays basketball. Today we went, hiking and things like that as if it's going to offend me, and I'm like, no, I already know my son can't do those things, so I'm not offended. I'm a regular person. You know what I mean? Treat me like a regular mom that you see every day or whatever. I don't, I don't need the and
Yeah.
stuff like that
Yeah.
because that kind of makes you cry. As a mom, it just kind of makes you cry. I'm like, don't do that,
Yeah.
And so having that conversation with my family and saying, hey, I'm still Monique. My son is still my son. He has feelings and emotions and wants and desires just like you. He just articulates them different.
Yeah.
And so yeah, just trying to bridge that gap. Now that he's 22, some of my family members are starting to realize that hey, he's cool. But it took a while to get here. So,
Yeah.
having that conversation with your family, letting them know what it's like and what your life is like kind of eases that to a degree because they have their own preconceived notions about what they think it's like.
Right. Right.
To have someone who can't walk and can't dress himself and still wears diapers and all those kinds of things versus the things that they see you having to go through and deal with. They don't really know how to approach you and support you, so it is a little bit of fear, you know what I mean, and a little bit of just being uncomfortable.
Yeah, Monique Duell joins us. She launched the Ability LLC to support her special needs child who has a cerebral palsy. Monique, I'm listening to you talk about, that you're just a regular person, that you're okay. But don't you think at the core of it, I don't think people mean any harm. I think some people do. Now, I do think some people do. But I think some people, like you said, are just don't know what to say and just
Right.
maybe uncomfortable, like you said, with even knowing what to say to you, what to share with you about their children, wanting not to offend. So I think it's so important that what you're saying right now is that it's okay.
Yeah.
and that may be different for somebody else too.
Yeah, it is. And so, like I said, just when they see that I'm just this outgoing, bubbly person, that I'm not, like, oh, woe is me, look at me, I am going through this, and that. They're like, oh, wow, you make this look easy. And I'm like, trust me, it's not me, it's God. It's God who gives me strength and give me wisdom to deal with this. And so when other people see it, they are inspired by it. And it warms my heart that people are inspired by my story and my testimony and things like that. And so for the people who see the day to day, they're just like, I don't see how you do it. I just, and I'm like, and that's the thing, it wasn't given to you to do. And that's the beauty of it. You
Right.
get to see it. So when you see another person, another mom or dad who is going through these things, you know how to embrace them, because at the end of the day, we just need the emotional support. We
Right.
need that. Hey, are you good today? Hey, I thought about you. I just stopped by to bring you a cup of coffee. I just, you were on my mind and on my heart. That's what we need in our community. And we don't have a lot of that. A lot of us are left to our own, thoughts and our own feelings and emotions. Cause like you said, they don't know what to say. They don't know how to embrace us because of, whatever they're thinking in their head. So once they realize that, hey, we're open to conversation, we're open to friendship or relationship and things like that, it breaks so many barriers, just communicating. And that's the thing. Communication is the key.
I think that you just said so much right there. And that just kind of leads to my next question, really, because I was going to ask, so what do you do? What do you say? So you're saying that the person, whoever your family, friends are, just do what you can do. Just come and say something. Be a listening ear. Be a friend.
Yeah.
Just be a friend.
Be a
Be somebody
friend.
who cares.
Yeah.
Is there something, though, Monuque, that you think you as the parent or the family member of a disabled person should say to your friends or your family? Was there something that you needed to say, even though, you said, your family was used to having a disability in your family unit? Was there something that you felt like you had to say to your other family members or your friends to open up that door?
I'm honest. I'm transparent, and that's the thing that has really opened up a whole wave of things for me to be able to sit and tell you, yes, this hurts. Just because my son is 22 and he's an adult, there's part of it is relief, because it's like, whoo, I made it over the hump. But every day, I tell them, every day in the back of my mind, as a mom, it's like it's there eating at you that your child has a disability. And unless God miraculously heals him completely, there's always this part of me as a mom in the back of my mind going, what could I have done different?
Yeah.
And I call it mom guilt. It's always there. It's like lurking. And so when I have a rough day or something didn't go exactly the way, I thought, there's the mom guilt going, I'm here.
Yeah.
See this, you should have done this, or maybe you should have done that. So for me to be able to release my emotions and how I'm feeling at the time, so that people can understand, you see me one way, but this is what this is really like when you leave on a daily basis. This is what life is like when you leave. And it doesn't take much, because we're human.
Yeah.
We have expectations of what we thought our life was going to be like when we had children. We have expectations of who we think God is and what he's capable of doing. And when those things don't meet up, it's like, boom.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, it can go from 0 to 60 real quick. And so for my friends and family, now that, they've been rocking with me for a while, I could be smiling like I'm doing now with you. And they'll say, okay, Mo, what's going on?
Wow. Yeah.
They hear me when I'm not speaking. They hear me when I'm not speaking. They know when I'm bleeding and I'm trying to put on a brave face and be strong. And so I appreciate that. Like I said, that intimacy, that transparency and communication is what we need as special needs parents, because we deal with a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what, girl, I tell you, I'm just sitting here thinking the whole mom guilt is so real for all moms, whether
all of them.
Yeah, whether you're a mom of a special needs child, whether you're a mom of a wayward child, whether you're a mom. If you have kids, you have mom guilt for something. If I coulda,
Yes.
woulda, shoulda is so real. We're talking to Monuque Duell. She launched the Disability LLC to support her special needs child. We've been talking about how she's dealt with it, how she learned about it, and about the universal mom guilt. If you're just joining us, please hit the replay button, because Monuque shared some great information that would help you as a friend or family member that knows someone with a special needs child, what to do, what to say, and how to act. Coming up next, we're going to join Monuque, and she's going to tell us what she did, how she launched, and why she launched her organization, This Ability, to help support not only her child, but parents of special need child and you too. We'll be right back with more with Monuque Duell on Coping with Tre Tailor. I'm Tre Tailor. Thanks for joining us. We'll be right back.
Computers, they're a part of our everyday lives. But when they're not working, they're an everyday problem. So call Computers Unique, your everyday solution. 803-351-5821. Is your computer running slow? Won't turn on? Do you need a screen replaced? Or maybe you just need another computer? Well, Computers Unique is your one-stop shop for all your computer needs. They have a wide variety of new and pre-owned PCs, Macs, and tablets. So call Computers Unique, Dutch Square Mall. 803-351-5821. 803-351-5821.
Hi, I'm Judy Gatson. As a news anchor, wife, and mom, I know how important it is to take care of our health. Part of taking care of our health is knowing if you're at risk of type 2 diabetes. Prediabetes is a serious health condition and puts you at risk for developing type 2 diabetes. It's estimated that more than 1.3 million South Carolinians have it, and up to 90% have no idea. Take a moment to visit inittogethersc.org to take an online test to find out your risk of prediabetes and how to join a diabetes prevention program that takes the guesswork out of losing weight, eating better, and being more active. You can learn new ways to stay healthy and sustain those changes over time. When you join, you'll even get support from a trained lifestyle coach to help you set and achieve realistic goals. Go to inittogethersc.org, brought to you by the Diabetes Action Council of South Carolina.
Thank you so much for joining us on Coping with Tre Tailor. I'm Tre Tailor, and we are streaming live on the TailorMade production page on Facebook. Please go over there, hit like and share and follow, and find out when we go live. Wednesday for Wellness Wednesday from In It Together SC and the Diabetes Action Council, and then on Thursday and Friday. We're also streaming live on our YouTube channel. Would you please hit the subscribe button? We would love for you to do that. Go over there and find 3 years worth of information, content, and interviews to help you cope, because we provide information, advice to help you thrive and survive in life, because we'll always be coping with something. We also have a presence on Instagram and also on Twitter. Today, we are coping with how to raise and how to deal with a child who has a disability. Monuque Duell joins us. She launched the Ability LLC to support her special needs child. She's a 6-time author, podcaster, international speaker, and associate pastor, and multiple award winner. Monuque, when we left before the break, we were just talking about how people can support those family members, parents who have special needs children, and the universal mom guilt, which is, like I said, is something we all deal with. And I loved that you said, we should just call and check up on each other. Just, how are you doing? Do you need a break? Do you need to go out for a drink, whether that drink is a glass of wine or a cup of coffee, whatever that is, But I know you launched something. You really moved forward and launched your organization, This Ability. Tell us about it.
This Ability was birthed after the passing of my grandmother and my sister 2 weeks apart last year. The morning of my grandmother's burial, I got the news that my sister had passed. And after, the dust settled, if you will, I was going through my things, and my notebook fell out. And in this notebook, I've had stuff that I had just written down, tucked away and stuff for years. This ability has sat for years. God gave me this vision way back in 2005, I believe. And I was like, ain't nobody gonna listen to me. I'm not trying to talk about that. I wanted to escape the label of being a special needs mom, escape the whole, living with a child with cerebral palsy and just be Monuque. I didn't want to do any of that, honestly speaking. And so I just left it. I left that there and Jeremiah the Jackrabbit there. Jeremiah the Jackrabbit was a poem that God allowed me to turn into a book. And so the same day I launched both of them. Disability is all about telling parents how to do and how to deal with life, how to get the services here in PG County, Maryland, that they don't tell you that you qualify for, how to see God in the midst of raising your son and your daughter, how to maintain your faith and your sanity, how to love you and break free from the label of being a special needs parent and embracing your power as a parent, because you're more than just that. There is more inside of you than just that. There was more inside of me, and Disability is proof of that. The 6 books is proof of that. The podcast is proof of that. So not getting lost, not getting lost as a parent, whether you have a child with a disability or not getting lost in parenting, because when we become parents, we throw ourselves head first into it, and we throw. And everything else doesn't matter, because we want to make sure that our child their love tanks are full, that we're raising them up in the way that they should go, making them, giving them a moral compass. And so our lives are pretty much on standstill,
Right. Our lives are, because we are pouring everything we have into someone else. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, finding that balance to say, hey, I'm a mom, but I'm also a singer.
Person.
I'm a person. I cook. I love to cook. I write poetry. I do a whole lot of other things outside of being Ronald and Jeremiah's mom. Yeah. And so when you see me, this is what I want you to see. I don't want you to be like, oh, that's Monuque. That's the lady who got a son with CP. And that's fine. But what else do you know about me?
Yeah.
And so that's what Disability is all encompassing of that. Last year, we gave away Thanksgiving and Christmas baskets, thanks to donations of people who, sold into us to be able to provide that. This year, we were hoping to do the same thing. And so, Lord willing, we will. We're trying to find grants and things like that, because what I want to do is be able to help alleviate. I know what it's like when your child can't play with normal toys and hold, normal conversation and things like that. Christmas gifts for our children, just one adaptive rattle is like $200.
Wow.
The long one with the beads in it that you shake. $200. Most of us are on fixed incomes and things like that. Our children are on fixed incomes. We can't buy those things.
Yeah.
And so it is my dream and my goal to be able to, like I said, provide that one-time grant or something for Christmas help and all of those kinds of things. Because I know the pain of not being able to provide for your kid the way you thought that you would be able to.
Yeah.
Having to stay home and not be able to work, and then you can't, not being able to go on vacation with your kids and do a lot of the other things that your peers are doing. And like I said, feeling that mom guilt, feeling sad and somewhat feeling sorry for yourself. So, for me to be able to pour back that love and say, hey, someone cares. I know, because I'm there. I know how you feel. I've been where you are. Just makes it worth it.
Yeah. The nonprofit is called Disability. And as Monuque said, it not only supports moms of any type of child. And I love that, because you are so right, Monuque. We have got to fill up our tanks so that we can provide for our children. And it's not being selfish. It's being selfless. You got to take care of yourself. Like the old saying says, you got to put the mask on yourself, before you put it on someone else. I tell you, girl, I so relate to that, because I have just in this last year had to relearn that it's so that I had to carve out time for me, so that I could be full for these babies that God has blessed me with.
Yes.
So, go to the website Disability, where you can get information, support, resources to help you be a complete person, a complete mom, and also to donate to some of the causes that Monuque and Disability are donating to, and that means to provide financial and nourishment support for families who need it. Tell us about the podcast before you leave.
My podcast is called Having a Moment with Moni, where I talk about my life. I have talked about everything from dating to puberty with my son, dealing with the government systems here and trying to find help and supports, which is, what disability does as well. And so I talk about everything. Nothing has been off limits. It's just me for right now. I have been able to pour out and talk about things that I had not talked about previously. I talked about, dealing with and overcoming domestic violence, overcoming child abuse, and all kinds of things, because that all of that, is encompassing of having a moment with Moni. This is what life has been like for me. So I have shared, my highs and my lows, as well as events and good things God has done in our lives and things like that. So check it out. We are 49 episodes in, I believe.
Awesome.
And it's amazing. And so you can head over to my link tree. It's linktr.ee/Monique Duell to find out about all of that. The link is there for disability, all of those kinds of things, the books, everything is there.
Awesome. All right. Go to the information you can see on the screen to find out, as Monuque said, about disability, about her podcast, about the 6 books, and about all of the amazing things that she is doing in her world and to help support her special needs child. Monuque Duell with Disability LLC. She's a 6-time author, podcaster, international speaker, and associate pastor, and multiple award winner. Today, we've been coping with dealing with a special needs child. If you just joined us, please hit the rewind button and check out all of the great information and resources that Monuque shared with us today. Monuque, thank you so much for.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much
for having me.
Oh, absolutely. And listen, thank you for daring to do what you needed to do, not only for your child, but for yourself, and for not being selfish, but for sharing it with all of us. We appreciate you, Queen, and good luck to you, and God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. You can see all of her information on the screen. We'll be right back with more Coping. I'm Tre Tailor.
Computers, they're a part of our everyday life, but when they're not working, they're an everyday problem. So call Computers Unique, your everyday solution. 803-351-5821. Is your computer running slow, won't turn on? Do you need a screen replaced? Or maybe you just need another computer? Well, Computers Unique is your one-stop shop for all your computer needs. They have a wide variety of new and pre-owned PCs, Macs, and tablets. So call Computers Unique, Dutch Square Mall, 803-351-5821. 803-351-5821.
Thank you so much for joining us for Coping with Tre Tailor. If you have a product or service that could help someone cope with COVID, please email copingwithtretatailor@gmail.com. We would love for you to be a proud sponsor, just like In It Together SC and the Diabetes Action Council. They sponsor Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday here on Coping with COVID. Javis Tax Services, Palmetto Media Connections, the 5th Circuit Solicitor's Office, Attorney Byron Gibson, Agape Counseling and Training Services, Black Pages, Black Expo, the Comet Bus System, and Computers Unique, Dutch Square Mall. We also would love for you to be a guest on the show. If you have a story or initiative that could help someone cope with COVID, please email booking@copingwithtretatailor.com. Booking@copingwithtretatailor.com. That information is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. We would love to feature you on the show because we're always coping with something. As always, we leave you with a great devotional. I'm reading back again from Jesus Calling. This says, when things seem to be going all wrong, stop and affirm your trust in me. Calmly bring these matters to me and leave them in my capable hands. Leave them there. Then simply do the next thing. Stay in touch with me through thankful, trusting prayers, resting in my sovereign control. Rejoice in me. Exult in the God of your salvation. As you trust in me, I make your feet like the feet of a deer. I enable you to walk, to make progress upon your high places of trouble, suffering, or responsibility. When things are going wrong, remember what is right. Jesus, he can do it for you. Thank you guys so much for joining us today for Coping with Tre Tailor. Until the next time, I wish you peace and abundant blessings. Take care, stay well. God bless. And if you're going to be out and about with large crowds, especially inside, don't forget to wear your mask over your nose and under your chin. I'll see you soon.
Coping, find peace of mind to survive through whatever. Coping, learning the way that we thrive all together. Coping, finding out what's real. Coping, we can heal, we can heal, we can heal. Coping with stress, coping with strife, bringing hope for success, for improving our life. Coping beyond hoping to do more than survive, ways to live a healthy life. Coping and promoting, learning what you can do, 6 ways to a better you. Coping, find peace of mind to survive through whatever.